following show is controversial and contains content you may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
We're back again. Good morning, and how are you this morning? I'm Adrian Kennedy, and between now and midday today, this is 98 FM's Dublin Talks, the mid-morning talk and phone-in show for Dublin, by Dublin, and about Dublin. We have a very busy programme for you today. We've all sorts of stuff that we want to deal with on the programme, including in just a moment, we'll be finding out about a man who was beaten up by a gang of teens in Lucan as he walked home from work in an apparent unprovoked attack. We'll be getting the inside story from Lucan in just a couple of minutes. We talked to the mother of a Dublin child who got a personal message. This is a lovely story, actually. A personal message from her hero, Hugh Jackman. That's a lovely story, it really is, and fair play to him, and we'll fill you in on all that later on if you haven't already heard that story. It's Friday, and we'll be looking for your good news stories a little bit later on. I love to, it's one of my favourite pieces of the week, Good News Friday we call it, and we just get you to share with us what is good in your world. It's a very simple little thing, but it's nice. It puts a smile on your face on a Friday. We're going to be talking about the need to get your children vaccinated against meningitis after 3 people have died so far this year. Out of 11 cases, 3 have died. We'll be talking to a woman whose child had meningitis. We'll be talking to a doctor who has all the answers and will answer all of the questions that we need to answer. It's a very serious issue, I have to say. 11 cases, 3 deaths. It's a very high fatality rate, it has to be said. And we're going to be talking about that. And I know there is controversy over the fact that if your child is over 3, you have to pay for the vaccine. It's not covered on the medical card. A lot of people very upset about it. However, I think it's a serious enough issue that you should rattle together the 300 quid to get your children vaccinated. Although, one particular lady was in contact with us just on vaccinations. And, well, when I say she is not, well, basically she said her child had meningitis and she'll still never vaccinate. That's easy to say when your child clearly survived. Anyway, we'll talk about that later on. All that and much more between now and midday today. Live from Dublin City Centre, this is 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy. And first off on the programme, I want to find out a little bit about this and what exactly is going on here. An extended traveller family, which includes 28 children, are to be evicted from a West Dublin halting site today. The 5 families who've been living in caravans in Balgaddy in Clondalkin since late last year say they have nowhere else to go. So we want to find out exactly what's going on there. 98 FM reporter Shane Beattie is joining us on the line live from Balgaddy in Clondalkin. Shane, welcome to the programme. Are you there, Shane? Oh, he's not there for some reason. No, Shane. No, he's gone. We'll try and get him back in a second. Anyway, as I said, it's reported that South Dublin Council say the families are there without permission, and as they are not from the county area, they are from the Dublin City Council area and the Clare County Council areas. They have no duty of care to them. And they're getting rid of them off this particular site today. Now, 98 FM reporter Shane Beattie joins me on the line live from Balgaddy. Shane, welcome to the programme.
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Good, thank you, Shane. Shane, describe firstly for our listeners exactly where you are and this particular site.
Yeah, so I'm on the Balgaddy Road. A bit of controversy over whether we call it Lucan or Clondalkin. I'm told half the side of the road calls it Clondalkin, the other half calls it Lucan. Officially, apparently, the address is Lucan. We're on the Balgaddy Road, and this is a site. There's a number of schools along this road. It's a long stretch of road where you have houses and schools, number of schools. And then there's this site, which I'm told is an old school site. And essentially what it is, it's just a piece of land. They have some metal fencing around it. And inside there are about 5 or 6 caravans with a mixture of grass and gravel here. There's no running water or no toilets, but it is home to the Doherty, McDonough and Mongan families, and they've around 28 children between them.
Where do they come from and when did they set up camp there?
I'm not sure exactly when they arrived here, but some of them are certainly here for some time. The families have come from, they say, Dublin City Council areas and Clare County Council areas, and they say they came to this site because of overcrowding and other issues. One man I was speaking to, John, he's been on the site since October, and they came from a site in Coolock. They say that there was overcrowding there, and they had issues there, so they moved to this site. So some have been here for several months at least.
Okay, now this is in the South Dublin Council area, but these families, I understand, come from both Clare and, as you said yourself, Coolock, which is in the Dublin City Council area. South Dublin Council are basically saying that they have no duty of care to them.
That's right. Now, I was in touch with South Dublin County Council this morning, and they've yet to respond to me to give me a statement on it, but they have told other media that they have no duty of care towards these families. The council say that they had an agreement with the families that they would be gone by today, the 11th of January. They said they served them with valid notices to quit, and they want to remove what they would call this illegal encampment. And apparently there was talks before Christmas, and maybe there was some discussion, well, let's leave the families in there until Christmas, and obviously now Christmas has passed. So the council say that there was an agreement for the 11th of January. Some of the families say, no, we didn't have any agreement. So that's another issue in dispute at the moment.
Okay, now the site itself, as you said, has no electricity, no toilets, no running water. It must be fairly squalid then, is it?
Well, I mean, the families are happy enough here in the sense that they feel that there's nowhere else for them to go. As you say, that there aren't the sort of normal conditions that you'd have on an official halting site where you might have access to running water and access to toilets. But the families have been kind of saying to me this morning, it's here or nowhere. We've nowhere else to go. They say that they would happily go somewhere else, but there's nowhere else to actually go for them. They don't know what they would do if they have to leave here. I just have to tell you, Adrian, that the council arrived within the last couple of minutes. So what we had was a scene where you had the family standing outside. Also, you had some members of the local Clondalkin Traveller Development Group. They were wearing yellow high-vis jackets. And then we had some council staff arrive in a couple of jeeps. Well, they say they're from the council. Their high-vis says staff on it. And they've arrived within the last few minutes. The families or someone has put a van blocking the entrance to the gate, so they couldn't actually drive in the gate of this unofficial halting site. But they parked outside, went up to the families, and they essentially said, we are here, we had an agreement, today was the agreement that you have to go. And they went around and officially notified each caravan. So they knocked on the door of each caravan and notified them that, look, the agreement is up and today is the day you have to leave. Now they've gone back outside, and the staff, the council staff, are standing at their jeeps. So they're no longer in the site, but they also haven't left. So it's kind of unclear as to what's going to happen. I don't imagine that there's going to be any sort of forcible evictions or anything like that. I would imagine that they might give them maybe until the end of the day. But the families, as promised, the council were here just after 9:30, and as promised, they've told them today is the day that you have to go. So the Gardaí...
Okay, so we're looking at a bit of a standoff here today then, are we?
Well, I mean, the families were very respectful, and the council staff were very respectful when they were talking to each other. One side was saying, we had an agreement, this is the council, we had an agreement, we're here to tell you that the agreement is for today, and now we're going to each caravan, knocking on the door, and letting you know that today is the day that...
But I'm assuming, Shane, that there's no sign of movement. After the knock on the door, the families aren't saying, OK, we're off.
No, they're still standing on their site. They're standing their ground. They're standing inside, and the council staff have moved outside the site, and they're on the road outside their jeeps waiting. There's not a lot. There are, as I mentioned earlier, there are 28 children roughly and several families. A number of family members have actually gone to a family funeral this morning, and they say this is the worst possible time for them to be evicted because many of the members of the community who are living here are grieving at the moment. So there aren't as many here as you'd expect because some are gone to a funeral this morning. So I don't know how that leaves things, or would that change the council's mind on it?
Okay, so the council officials have been on site, have told the travellers on site it's time to move, it's time to get out. We had an agreement, but there's no sign of them moving, so we could be looking at a standoff here today.
Potentially we could. The Gardaí are here, as I said, the council staff are here, and the families are here. It's just not clear what exactly is going to happen. The council were very, very careful in their language. They were using very legally careful words when they were describing the agreement and saying we now serve notice that today is the day you have to go. They haven't gone back in sight, so I think it's a matter of wait and see here.
All right, 98 FM reporter Shane Beattie, we will keep in touch with you throughout the morning if there are any further developments on that story. And, well, let me just play this message that's just come into us on WhatsApp voice message. Oh, no.
They're only there since probably the last 3 or 4 weeks. I seen them with a ball snips cutting the lock off the gate there not so long ago. It was only about 3 weeks ago.
Okay, so that's somebody saying that they're not there, terribly long. But anyway, it's amazing actually the lack of sympathy that people have in situations like this. Why are you even talking about this? Says this message. They're not supposed to be there, so they're getting evicted. It's as simple as that, says that message. And then another message. The fact is, no one wants travellers in their areas. In a housing estate where my sister and her family live, a family of travellers have been causing trouble in the area for months, and nothing is being done about it. Travellers shouldn't be living near settled people. That's just a ridiculous message. 28 children, says another message. Why have that many children if you've no means of supporting them or providing a roof over their heads? That is absolutely crazy. And then somebody being a real smart arse says, each of these traveller families should be given an acre of land and a new 4-bed house and stables for their horses. God help them. The fact of the matter is, you're just not really getting... You're not really getting this. Here are families living on land. Okay, it's not their land. They're not entitled to be there. We know all of that. But where do they go? They get chucked out of there today, and then what? Let me just play one more WhatsApp voice message.
28 children. 28 children. Why would anybody have 28 children and not be able to provide for them?
Now, this is a load of families. This isn't just one family with 28 children. It happens to be 28 children on this site. 5 families and 28 children. It's not one family with 28 children, in case you're misinterpreting that. Anyway, we'll keep on top of that story as the day progresses. Now, just down the road from that halting site, we go to Lucan next. And a man on Wednesday was rushed to hospital after he was attacked by a gang of teenagers as he walked home from work. Up to 4 thugs were involved in the senseless attack in the Lucan area. The 31-year-old was walking through the Castlereagh area near the Pennyhill pub when he was set upon by the gang at 4:30 on Wednesday. He was repeatedly punched in the face before the gang ran away. I'm joined on the line by independent councillor from Lucan, Paul Gogarty. Paul, welcome to 98 FM.
Good morning, Adrian.
Paul, this incident is just the latest in what appears to be a string of similar incidents.
This is the point. Recently we had a bus attacked by up to 50 youths. We don't know how many, but it's quite a gang, throwing stones, rocks at buses, intimidating people getting onto the bus. In fact, trying to attack people who escaped by getting onto the bus. You had a woman and an elderly man attacked recently in the Lucan area. There was a 20-year-old attacked in a place called Ballyone Lane near the Ballyone shopping centre. You've had an incident up near the bus stop on the N4 at Liffey Valley shopping centre where 4 teenagers from somewhere in Kildare, I believe to be Leixlip, were attacked by a gang again with knives allegedly produced. So there's an increase in this sort of stuff going on, and I remember from a recent community policing meeting in Palmerstown that there was a gang going in who weren't from the area. It may or may not be related to people coming in. I'm not saying Lucan is immune to having its own bunch of people causing trouble, but the sheer number seems to be that there's a group coming in from elsewhere, and that's why I'm raising this spate of attacks at the upcoming Joint Policing Committee on the 25th of January.
And it is suggested that these gangs who would have attacked this 31-year-old man on Wednesday are coming, and I know you say obviously you have your own problems, but that these particular gangs may well be coming in from outside the area. Any idea where they're coming from?
I don't know in the first instance, and secondly, the reason I don't know is because the guards wouldn't necessarily tell you, because you don't want to blacken another area in any event. So if you said any named town or village from here to Ringsend, all of a sudden people would be getting up in arms saying, well, that's not us, they don't represent us. They just don't necessarily come from the Lucan area. But that doesn't mean Lucan doesn't have its own homegrown vandals who've been attacking playgrounds recently and intimidating people. But the sheer number of attacks and the increase seems to suggest that these are people who aren't afraid of being identified because they're not going to be recognised instantly by people in the area.
Okay, so what can be done? I mean, at 4:30 on a Wednesday afternoon, a man literally has he's whacked out of it. He was really badly assaulted in a completely unprovoked attack. He ended up being taken to hospital. What can be done to enable people to walk around Lucan without fear of attack like this?
Well, it's the old chestnut. First of all, I mean, there's two sides of it. There's a rights and responsibilities. Like, someone doesn't turn into a thug overnight. There's obviously a societal issue that a left school area. There may be drug or alcohol issues involved. And from the, let's say, the more caring side of your mindset, you kind of say, well, these people need help to get them back on the right track. But at the same time, people, as you say, have a right to walk around safe in their neighbourhood. So there's two things I think are needed, and one of them is legislative, in that if people have a record of violent assault, they shouldn't be let out in the streets again. If that requires more resources to put them into some sort of a programme that goes beyond juvenile diversion programmes, so that they actually have to be, I suppose, re-educated into proper societal thinking, that's one aspect. The other aspect would be Gardaí. Now, there has been an increase in Garda numbers over the last number of months, which is welcome. It's still not at 2006 levels, but it's improving. But I think where the focus needs to be is on community Gardaí, because community Gardaí are out there. They know where problems are likely to happen before they even happen, and they can sometimes intervene. So in a situation like that, for example, community Gardaí are helpful, like the meeting in Palmerston where the Ballyfermot Guard came and said, well, look, I can guarantee you these guys aren't from Palmerstown. It's not a case of a couple of troublesome youths so they were able to say straight away, put people's fears at rest, that there's not a sudden outbreak amongst all their own kids. But at the same time, those Gardaí can identify where the people are coming from, liaise with their counterparts in other areas, and intervene in a more meaningful way than just having a Garda squad car come 15 minutes after the event.
Okay, now the worrying part about this latest incident is that, as we said, it's the latest in what appears to be a string of assaults and attacks in the immediate Lucan area. There were similar attacks in the Palmerstown area, but you're now highlighting it. Do you think by highlighting it, anything is going to be done?
But this is a question, and I was reading recently where a Good Samaritan was trying to help someone in Dublin city centre, and a gang of about 20 people hopped on them. So it's not particularly a Lucan issue. It just happens to be rearing its head in Lucan at the moment. We have situations where, for whatever reason, people of any age, from like between 13 up to the ages of 22, 23 in some cases, feel they can get away with impunity. Obviously, once you hit 18, your criminal record is going to be more permanent and more effective in terms of jail time. But I think as a society, we have to look at whether we need to, A, invest in the assistance to stop people turning out this way, but also, B, maybe taking a more zero-tolerance approach to it.
All right. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on the line, Councillor Paul Gogarty from Lucan, about that string of attacks in the area in recent times. Now, you're listening to 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy. On the way after the break, what things will you only ever find in an Irish house? Have a think about that during the break. What things will you only ever find in an Irish house? We'll deal with that in just a second. Don't go away.
98 FM's Dublin Talks
With Des Kelly Interiors. Huge January sale. Now on in all departments.
98 FM.
It's Friday's Dublin Talks. Now, we put up a post on social media yesterday, which generated a lot of interest, and there's some questions that we want to ask. Jeremy put up the post asking what question?
Things that you'll only ever find in an Irish home. Now, the reason we did it was because we discovered yesterday that Irish houses are unique in the world. There's no other house like them. And there's things you will find in an Irish house that you wouldn't find in any other house in any other part of the world. And give you an example. The house that I grew up in Milltown, the family house, we had American relatives that used to come over to visit us, and they were always fascinated by this thing that was in our house, and it was in your house, and every single one of you listening, it was in your house as well, and it's unique to an Irish house, and our American relations were fascinated by it.
What was it?
It's called the immersion. They couldn't get their head around. What's an immersion? I don't understand what this immersion is. And they couldn't understand about having to press a button to get hot water. They just couldn't
Get their heads around
because
it.
Americans just turn on the tap and it's hot water. They've constant hot water. So we put up a post on Facebook yesterday and it went viral, it's fair to say, with people listing rakes of different things that you will only ever find in an Irish home.
Okay, we want you to text or WhatsApp us right now on 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Things you will only ever find in an Irish home.
Sorry, I have to go. I have to leave. I left the immersion on.
Somebody on social media didn't quite get what we were at on Facebook when we asked the question.
Yes.
And we asked the question, what's something you uniquely find in an Irish home? And one person's reply was...
Milk.
Now, I don't know about you, but I think you find milk in homes all over the world.
Yes, I think you do.
Not just in Ireland. So that's somebody who wasn't getting it. What do you only find in Irish homes? Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. What will you only ever find in an Irish home?
Now, let me give you a few of the answers. Well, not the answers, a few of the things that people were talking about. Now, there's one that's actually bugging the hell out of us, okay? And I'm going to come to that in a moment. But here's one that you will only ever find in an Irish home, is St. Bridget's Cross in the hallway on the wall that's been there since the 1980s. Now, my mother has one that I made in school, and I haven't been in school in about 30 years. And the Bridget's Cross that I made in secondary school is still hanging on her wall.
Really?
It's in ribbons.
Now, the reason you'll only find that in an Irish home is St. Bridget's Cross is uniquely Irish. It's a special cross for St. Bridget, who was an Irish saint.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other one that we're trying to get our head on, and if anybody has the answer to this, we want to know, and it's a white woman statue in the window.
I've seen these.
Yeah, I've seen them as well, and it's only that it was brought to our attention yesterday. I've no idea what they are or why they're there. And if you live in the north inner city or the south inner city, somebody said, and I don't know how true this is, her nickname is the Lady of the North Side. Now, this is a statue. It's a white statue of a woman, and it's in the window of every second house in the inner city. And I don't know how true this is, but some people are saying it's called the Lady of the North Side, and they're all over Dublin. Have you got one in your...
No, I don't.
Did you ever see one before?
I have seen them, but I've never had one.
So if anybody can shed some light on who that woman is, she's a white statue, and where did they all buy them? I've never seen them in the shops. Where did they get them?
If anybody has answers, please let us know. 6797 981 is our phone number. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. So what will you only ever find in an Irish household? Anne, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Anne?
Hello, Adrian.
Hello, Anne.
Well, what I think you'll always find Sacred Heart, the picture of the Sacred Heart in every Irish home.
And is it uniquely Irish, though?
I mean,
would you find it... I know, for example, Poland is a very Catholic country. Would you find the Sacred Heart in a house in Poland?
Well, if I was in Poland, I probably wouldn't know, but
like I said, I'm just curious to know whether it's an actual Irish thing.
Is this the picture of our Lord that has the red light underneath it?
Well, or a big, huge heart. Yeah.
Oh, that scares the life out of me, yeah.
That's the Sacred Heart. But what are you talking about, the statue in the window? I have one, and it's a lady.
You've a statue of Our Lady in the window?
In the window, yes, and it's white.
Oh.
So maybe...
Well, no, one of the ones that we saw certainly isn't Our Lady because she's kind of lying down.
Why did Our Lady never lie?
I've never seen a photograph or a statue of Our Lady lying down. So
No.
I don't think that's what we're talking about. All right, thank you, Anne. Pictures of the Sacred Heart. It is a very Irish thing, but I'd love to know if any of our Polish listeners, because as I said, it's a very Catholic country. Do you have photographs or paintings of the Sacred Heart in your houses?
This is a true story. A fellow I used to work with got kicked out of his family home, Adrian. His parents kicked him out. And you know why? Because he tore down the picture of the Sacred Heart out of his parents' living room.
Oh, really?
He was an agnostic he was one of those. Yeah, anyway, he didn't believe in God. And I remember him when he was about 22 years of age and he was still living at home. And he went home one day with a few drinks and he said, I don't want to look at this picture anymore. And he took the picture down of the Sacred Heart and his mother and father went mad and actually kicked him out of the house over it. It's a true story.
What do you only ever find in Irish homes? Leah, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Leah?
I'm not too bad, how are you?
Good, thank you, Leah. Leah, what do you only ever find in an Irish home?
Red lemonade.
And it has to be TK red lemonade.
No, of course, yeah.
Yep.
They're the only ones that make it.
Are they?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
So TK red lemonade. Now, it is a uniquely Irish thing. I never realised it was a uniquely Irish thing till I was on holidays once and I asked for whatever drink I was having with red lemonade. And your man looked at me, this is years ago, your man looked at me as if I had 50 heads because he'd never heard of red lemonade. And in fact, outside of Ireland, even if you go over to England, they've never heard of red lemonade.
Yeah, I actually have an uncle who, if we have family in England and he drinks Southern Comfort, he used to drink a red lemonade and he'd bring a bottle of red lemonade over to England with him.
Oh, really? Yeah, because you just can't get it. And it's and white, it has a different taste to white lemonade, definitely.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Now, do you have a white statue in your window, Leah?
Do I have what?
A white statue of a woman in your window.
I don't.
Do you know what this white statue is, who she is?
Oh, like Virgin Mary.
Is it Mary?
Well, the picture you showed me earlier on was a woman lying down. I've never seen a photograph of Mary lying down.
Let's just say, Leah, this particular statue is a bit, well, it's not promiscuous, is it? But it's a bit... We don't think it's Mary anyway, do we?
No, I doubt it's Mary now, to be honest. It's a tad provocative.
Yeah, provocative is the word, yeah.
Rachel, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Rachel?
Hiya, Grand.
Not only do you know what these statues are, you actually sell them.
Yeah, we're the only shop in Dublin who sells them here in Parnell Street, Dublin Maldens, and she's called the Lady on the Rock.
The Lady on the Rock?
Yes.
Now, is it religious?
No, she doesn't mean anything. My dad bought the mould over 20 years ago and just one lady put the statue in the window and everybody done it. She's reached Spain, France, all over the place. The lady is gone.
Okay, now to describe this, I'm looking at a photograph of the lady on the, what'd you say, the Lady on the Rock?
Yes.
And she's sitting there and she's got her knee raised and it's a kind of a provocative pose.
Calm down there, Adrian, it's only a statue.
No, but it's a kind of a provocative pose, isn't it?
Yeah, but she's just showing off her figure and
a bit of leg.
Nice robe over her, but she's a stunning lady.
And why is she in every single window in the north and south inner city?
Because she's beautiful. She's better than artificial flowers in the window, and she's just stunning. And she's in the National Lottery ad on the television. She's in Fair City.
Oh.
She's all over the place.
Well, now that you've mentioned her, I found an article. There's an article about her, Adrian, online, and it says you will find this woman in the window of many a house in Dublin. She is called the Lady of the Rock. She's a familiar sight. She bears the full length of a leg, Adrian.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
Sensuously arched at the knee. The wrap slips from her shoulders, falling down her chest and between her thighs. Jeez, I must get one of these myself.
She's only €20 and she's stunning, and we just can't make enough of them. They're really, really nice.
So what's the name of your shop, Rachel?
Dublin Maldens, 99 Parnell Street, Dublin 1.
99 Parnell Street, Dublin 1. And you're the only ones that sell these, are you?
Yeah, we are indeed.
Dublin Mouldings, 99 Parnell Street, Dublin 1.
Yeah.
And you're saying you literally can't keep them on the shelves?
I can't make enough of them. I'd sell at least 10 to 12 a day.
Really?
all over the place, but not just Dublin. We've sent them all over the place. People just can't get enough of these.
Well, I'm looking at her now, and I have to say she'd look well adorned on my window.
Well, if you come in, Jeremy, you can have one for free.
Oh, jeez. I've always wanted a lady on the rock, Adrian. What about you?
Well, yeah.
And it says here the statuette started cropping up in working class pockets of Dublin, including Cabra and Crumlin in the late 1990s. And it says here as well, the story goes that there was a shipwreck off the west coast of Ireland. Everybody on the ship was killed except for one lady who washed up on the rocks naked. And that is the lady on the rock.
Wow.
She's the only woman that survived.
So you have to come to Dublin Maldens and check her out.
My wife has a bit of an issue about other naked women being in the house. It's just the way.
Pretend it's herself.
The Lady of the Rock, Dublin Mouldings, 99 Parnell Street. Brilliant. Thanks, Rachel.
No problem.
Bye.
Thank
There
you.
you go. So now, you wanted answers? We got answers.
Now, people are going to be messaging us all day wanting to know, Adrian, just explain that again, where you can get her, who she is and why you want her.
The statue's called the Lady of the Rock. She appears in front living room windows all over the city, and she's available from Dublin Mouldings, 99 Parnell Street. There you go. Sean, you're on 98 FM. Hiya, Sean.
Okay.
Sean, what do you only ever find in an Irish house?
Every Irish house has a drawer that nobody knows the contents of the drawer. It's just full of absolute pandemonium.
We have one in our house, right? And it's a drawer in a cabinet. And when I say every bit of shite from the house is shoved into this drawer, and if you're looking for anything in our house,
have you got a charger for a Nokia?
So you will find a charger for a Nokia phone in there?
I need a charger for a Nokia phone.
Yeah, you'll find one in that drawer, no problem. In fact, anything that you're looking for in our house is in this one drawer. Mm-hmm. So every Irish house has a drawer full of cables and pens and all sorts of rubbish.
Now, Sean, I have a few things on the list here that I want to run by and see if you have them in your house, okay? Here's one. Do you have pint glasses robbed from pubs?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Why do Irish people do that?
I don't know. I just my favourite beer at the moment is Rockshore. Yeah. As soon as I saw a pint of Rockshore,
I don't say, Rob. Don't admit to it on the radio.
Oh no, I did. I took the pint glass home.
But lads, you know you can get glasses in IKEA.
They're not the same. Sure, they're not, Sean. No, it's a top. If you want to have a pint of Rockshore, you drink it out of a Rockshore glass.
Okay, Sean, do you have 2 hot water bottles hanging up in your kitchen on a nail? On a rusty nail?
Who has that?
Loads of people.
Oh.
Sean, do you have 2 hot water bottles hanging on a rusty nail in your kitchen?
Not on a nail, no.
Okay, but they are in the kitchen hanging up, are they?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have phone books dating back to the 1990s? My mother.
What do you do?
Yeah, well, I'd imagine that somewhere lying around.
Yeah, my mother refuses to throw out all her phone books. She's phone books going back donkey's years. And like half the people in the phone book are probably dead at this stage.
And she still has the phone books.
She won't get rid of the phone books.
It's hilarious.
One final one. Have you a holy water font in your hallway?
Yeah.
I never understood that. The reason for that.
Loads of people still have them, yeah.
You bless yourself before you leave the house.
And my grandmother has one, and as you're walking out the door, you stick your finger in and...
And what happens if you don't?
Well, I don't know. I've never tried it. I've never taken the risk.
Oh, you're afraid?
Yeah, I'm afraid of my life, yeah. Thanks, Sean. Jay, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Jay?
Good morning, Adrian.
Now, Jay, things you only ever find in an Irish home?
There's always a tin under the sink or some sort of box with leftover medication and plasters and cough bottles and what have you in it.
An old tin under the sink full of all sorts of medication. And the medication includes like antibiotics that you're finished with.
You'd have everything in there.
Everything and anything. And if it's a really good house, no matter what your ailment is,
something for it.
Yeah, we'll find it in the box.
But I have to say, there's one thing about that. That's how we found out my sister was allergic to penicillin.
Really?
You have to be careful as well.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. You shouldn't be giving out, and 98 FM does not condone giving medication just willy-nilly. Yeah, you need to know what it is.
Lucozade is for anybody. That's a great
you have to boil it, though.
Oh, actually, there's something else you'll only ever find in an Irish home.
Yeah.
Flat 7-Up to cure all conditions.
I'm telling you, you could have gangrene in your leg and 7-Up would cure it.
Yeah.
Well, not officially, can I just say. Now, Jay, here's another one on the list. Do you have a Super Sayer in your house?
I do.
Oh, they're horrible.
Yeah, but they're great.
I have to have one, though. I have to have it because if they didn't store the heating in the house, it's useless.
Yeah, they are a great invention.
The smell of them, though.
Once it burns off the gas, it's grand.
Do you think you get used to it?
There's people living in Siberia and they don't need a super Sair.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thanks, Jay. Tina.
Hi, Adrian. How
We were
are you?
talking about the Lady of the Rock, these white statues that adorn many a window around the city.
That's right.
Your mother has those statues.
She does, yes. Yes, she wants to know the names.
So she's named them?
She's named them the sluts.
Oh, really? That's an awful thing. Well, actually, if you think about where supposedly it came from, yeah.
Well, I'm going to show Adrian.
This poor woman was washed ashore after a shipwreck, ended up on the rock with nearly no clothes on, and your mother calls her the slut.
Yeah, even at Christmas, Adrian, she wouldn't take, she was going to put the crib in the window, and she wouldn't put that in because the sluts were there.
Well, I'm going to show Adrian. I'm showing Adrian a close-up photograph of the lady on the rock there. Jesus, you're drooling at the mouth there, Adrian. Calm down.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go and get one on the way home.
I've seen women dressed in less in Temple Bar on a Saturday
you
night.
have, yeah, definitely.
Come on.
But anyway, so your mother nicknamed them the sluts.
The sluts, yep. There you go.
It's hilarious. Oh, I love it. Okay, and one last call. Darren, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Darren?
Good morning, how are you?
Darren, what will you only ever find in an Irish house?
Tripe and Irish heart.
Does anybody still buy tripe?
Well, I do.
Do you?
Yeah, and there's only one place you can actually buy it, Adrian, believe it or not. You can only get it in Troyes of Moore Street.
In Moore Street, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can only get the honeycomb tripe there. You can still get that out stringy stuff, which is no good, you know? You have to get the proper honeycomb stuff.
What do you do with tripe?
You boil it, and then you put some onions in with it, potatoes, sausages, milk, bit of salt and pepper. Make it nice and thick then, and then you just eat it the way it is.
Lovely.
Sounds beautiful.
Lovely.
Oh, it is. Have you never tried it?
No.
You should give it a go.
I'll give Stephen a shout later on and ask him, can I have some tripe, and we'll try it for afternoon tea. Ew. Anyway, thanks very much, Steve, for all of your calls. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. It is a Friday, and every Friday at around this time, Good News Friday. Good News Friday is where we ask you to contact us with your good news story. Now, your good news story can be literally anything. Something that is happening in your world that it's just good. Share it with us. On 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. What is your good news story this Friday? We'll take your calls in just a moment.
98 FM's Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. Huge January sale now on in all departments.
98 FM.
It is Friday, and every Friday at around about this time, we love to bring you Good News Friday. Good News Friday is where we ask you to share with us your good news story. Now, it can be literally anything. It can be something very significant in your life, or it can be something extremely trivial, but for you, it's good news. And if you happen to be a caller on the programme, I have a pair of cinema passes from IMC Cinemas to give away. Okay, a pair of cinema passes for IMC Cinemas to give away. If you happen to be a caller, callers only. Okay, but you can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98 with your good news story. And if you happen to be on the air, you could win yourself passes for IMC Cinemas. Now, Jacqueline, you're on 98 FM. Hiya, Jacqueline.
Hi, how are you?
Jacqueline, I love your good news story today.
It's a good one, all right.
It is. It's a brilliant one. This is all about your little girl, Emma.
Yeah.
Now, tell me about Emma.
So Emma's 7, and she's obsessed with The Greatest Showman. We didn't get tickets to Hugh Jackman's show in the 3 Arena. They just sold out so quickly. So we decided that we'd send him a video of her singing one of the songs from the show, not to get tickets, but just so that he'd see it.
Okay, but let's just have a quick listen to, this is Emma. Which song is she singing here?
A Million Dreams.
A Million Dreams. This is Emma, posted on Twitter, singing A Million Dreams.
I close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own.
First things first, I have to say, for a 7-year-old, she's a great little singer. The video in total was about 1 minute and 20 seconds, which I think is all Twitter allows.
Yeah.
And you put it up, and what did you say along with the video?
I kind of just said, Twitter help, you know, she's obsessed with him. She wants to get this message to him and kind of, can you retweet it and help us out? And we got a bit of a response, which was great. And then I noticed that he only follows about 14 people. So I tagged a few of them in it, and I retweeted it to them and said, if one of you posts it, you'll definitely see it. So Liev Schreiber from Ray Donovan, he's the lead actor in that, he retweeted it. And then I found out after a guy who's allegedly Hugh Jackman's best friend in Sydney retweeted it as well. And then we got a message from Hugh Jackman himself.
Okay. So Hugh Jackman, in reply to Emma's video, he eventually saw it a couple of days later, and he recorded his own little video. Here's what he had to say.
Okay, Jackie Cooney, it worked. Got to me. Very ingenious, and I just want to say you're a little girl. Thank you so much for singing that song. Thanks so much for being a fan, and never stop dreaming. And remember, life is what you choose to make it, so make it fantastic. Sending lots and lots of love. Bye.
Ah, that's lovely.
The sweetest message you've ever heard.
That is absolutely fantastic. And okay, one of the reasons that you put the video up in the first place was, because she's a huge fan and all of that, but that you'd missed out on tickets for his 3 Arena gig at the end of May.
Yeah.
Did you get any?
He has organised tickets for us, yeah.
Really?
He has, yeah.
Woo! Happy days. And Emma must be thrilled skinny, is she?
Oh, she's thrilled, absolutely thrilled, yeah. And all her schoolmates and all were cheering for her yesterday. She's like a celebrity in there.
That's absolutely fantastic. And fair play to Hugh Jackman for bothering his arse to record the video and put it on Twitter.
Absolutely,
and send it back to you. It's absolutely brilliant. It just shows you the power of social media sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah. But even, like a lot of people wouldn't have done it even with that. They might have seen it and just not sent the message. So I was
he did.
thrilled that he did, yeah.
Absolutely. That was a very decent thing of him to do. So you will now, yourself and Emma will now be going to see Hugh Jackman at the end of May.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic good news story, Jacqueline. Thanks very much indeed.
Okay, thanks.
There you go. Isn't that a nice story? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Hugh Jackman. Ooh. Anyway, what is your good news story? We do this every Friday where we get you to share with us your good news. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. We want you to share with us your good news story. Mark, you're on Dublin's 98 FM. How are you, Mark?
Adrian, good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Mark. Mark, what is your good news?
Well, people keep telling me it's bad news, but I hope it's good news anyway. So I'm getting married in 5 weeks' time, so everything's organised and everything's settled down, so we can start to relax now. So it's good news that it's all relaxing now,
Okay, so the big day is in 5 weeks today, or
5 weeks time? 5 weeks tomorrow. It's 16th of February is today. So.
15th of February, but everything is organised. You're totally sorted.
Totally sorted. Everything's paid for. Everything's got, and the two of us are to sit back and relax now and enjoy the run up to it. So
that's fantastic. Where is the wedding?
So it's getting in the New Park Hotel in Kilkenny. So it's a bit of a drive for us, but it's a fantastic hotel. So we're just looking really forward to it. So that's my good news story for today and Friday.
That's fantastic. Good to talk to you, Mark. That is Mark's good news. Every week when we do Good News Friday, we get little Junior Dixon to share with us his good news. Over to you, little Dixon.
Good morning, guys. It's Luke here. I have news. I was told the other day that I'm better on the radio than my dad. If Michael, the boss in 98 FM, is listening, can I have a gig, Michael? My good news today is that I will be going into the radio station tomorrow. I'm going to meet all the DJs. I'm going to see where my daddy works. Then we're going to go to Captain America's for lunch. We're going to have a great family day. I have a secret. Daddy is going to drink pina coladas. What's your good news? Call 6797-981. Call Katie and Jamie now, store 98 FM, the sound of the city.
He's much more talented than his alpha, I can say. He's trying to blag a free lunch out of Captain America's. Yeah, well done, little Dixon. Lauren, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Lauren.
Hi,
Lauren, what is your good news story this Friday?
My good friend of mine had got engaged in 2018 and he's getting married in 2020.
And what is your good friend's name?
Josh Rosillo.
And who's Josh engaged to?
He is engaged to a fella from, he's originally from Clare.
From Clare?
To Dublin, yeah.
Very good. And the big day then is going to be when in 2020, next year?
2020, June next year.
Brilliant. That's great news. Thank you, Lauren. We'll take another couple of calls for Good News Friday in just a moment. If you have a good news story that you'd like to share with us, you can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. You can send us, if you want, a sneaky WhatsApp voice note if you can't get away from your desk or away from your work. Just nip out. Just record a quick and send it to us to 0877 98 98 98 if you want to send a WhatsApp voice note. Quick break, back in a sec. 98. Live and exclusive to Dublin's 98 FM, Monday through Friday between 10 and midday. This is Adrian Kennedy. You're with 98 FM's Dublin Talks. And Trish is here with Friday's top headlines.
Thanks, Adrian. Council officials have moved onto a site where 5 related traveller families are being evicted from Balgaddy and Lucan today. The local authority says it reached an agreement with them before Christmas to vacate the old school site. The families, who have 28 children, dispute this and claim they can't find accommodation anywhere else. Irish Rail had to spend over €600,000 cleaning graffiti off trains last year. Incidents rose by 22% in 2018, with 237 attacks recorded. The company says there's a growing trend of dart trains being targeted in service, stopping them from leaving a station. Meanwhile, Pearse Street and Tara Street stations will be closed tomorrow and Sunday to facilitate a new roof at Pearse Street station. Alternative transfers will be in place. And today is the day most people will give up on their New Year's resolutions. Cleaning and batch cooking healthy meals are some of the most common resolutions people ditch. And now you're up to date on 98.
Thank you very much indeed, Trish. Let us take another couple of calls for this week's Good News Friday. Good News Friday is where we get you to share with us your good news. It does exactly what it says on the tin. Suzanne, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Suzanne.
Hi, Adrian.
Suzanne, what's your good news?
I'm in the airport, going away.
You're in the airport now?
I'm in the airport, yeah.
I hate you. Where are you going?
We're just going away for the weekend to London.
Oh, lovely. I love London. One of my favourite places. Any plans for the weekend? What are you going to do, or what are you going to see?
We're doing a West End show.
Oh, very good. What one are you going to see?
Thriller.
Which?
Michael Jackson Thriller.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I believe it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, that's what I was saying to Katie. It's our first weekend and 9 years away together without the kids. So we're delighted with life.
You didn't tell me that bit. That's the best part of that story.
First, it's my big birthday today. I'm 21 again.
Happy birthday. The weekend without the kids is the best part of that whole story.
That's what I'm saying. I'm usually at home knee-deep in babies and housework, and everybody's ringing in with their good news, and finally I have some good news.
That's brilliant. I'm delighted for you. Have a great weekend, Suzanne.
I will.
Thanks very much indeed. Here is a WhatsApp voice message that's just come in to us.
Hey guys. My good news is my little sister moved to America 4 weeks ago, and in 4 weeks she's after arranging a wedding, and tomorrow she marries the love of her life. So can we do a shout out to Kim Boylan and Dalton Ray over in Salt Lake City, Utah? Well, they live in Spanish Fork and they're getting married 2 o'clock their time tomorrow, so party in the big sister's house at 9 o'clock tomorrow evening. And I just want to wish them the best of luck as well. They're just deadly. So that's my good news. Little sister's getting married tomorrow and Daddy is over there to walk her up the aisle.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. Kate, what is your good news?
Good morning, Adrian.
Good morning, Kate.
I miss you sorely at night time.
Oh.
From 10 on to 12. Huh? I'm a pensioner. I love your show.
You're very good. Thanks very much indeed, Kate.
You should be back.
Kate.
You and Jeremy.
What is your good news?
My good news is my grandson, who always was ringing you while he was at home, has become a captain of Qatar Airlines.
Really? Yes. A captain of Qatar Airways,
yes.
Which is a long-distance airline. They travel... Right. They're like Emirates. They travel all over the world, don't they?
All over the world. Yeah, he's been all over the world. And his wife gave birth, which is my great-grandchild, on the 6th of December.
That's fantastic news.
Little girl in the Rotunda.
And where does he live? Does he live in Qatar?
He lives in Qatar at the moment. Yeah, he's bought a house in Florida.
He's bought a house in Florida? Oh,
yeah, he lives his home is in Portmarnock.
Isn't that fantastic? So he's now a captain of Qatar Airways.
31 years of age.
And I assume... 31, that's even better. And I assume he's getting to see all over the world.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't know. Everywhere. He's been everywhere. Every county or country. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And how long did his training take? And how much did it cost him?
A lot of money. A lot of money. He went down to Western at 16 and a half to train. And then he went in and done some pub work at the weekends, like lounge boy, then become a barman, and all the money went on lessons. And of course his mother and father helped out a lot, and myself and my husband. So he made it eventually. He went to, his first airline was a little one out in, what is it now? Small Airways.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. I'm delighted.
And then he applied for this job, yeah.
A captain in the family, isn't that fantastic? That's brilliant news. Yeah. Thanks, Kate. Let me, one or two more. Jean, you're on 98 FM. Jean, what is your good news?
Hiya. My son Daniel, who's 9 years of age, recently graded in Shotokan Karate, and he has now graded to be a black belt.
Wow.
And he's only nine, and we think he is the youngest in the organisation in Ireland.
I was just about to say that. I've never heard of a 9-year-old black belt in any of the martial arts.
Mm-hmm. The last time we had somebody was in 2002, and it was a guy in Coleraine.
Right. 9 years of age, black belt in Shotokan Karate.
Yes.
Fantastic. That's brilliant news.
Proud of him.
Sorry, I say you are. That's fantastic news, Jean. Well done. And one last call, and that is you, Jenny. Jenny, what is your good news?
My good news is that I actually have the whole weekend off work.
Ah, fantastic. Well, you obviously normally work then, do you?
Yeah, I work for Tesco, so yeah, I usually work every weekend. So it's nice to have a weekend off.
And how did you manage to get scheduled a weekend off?
That's a good question.
But you're not complaining. Don't highlight it.
No.
All right, fair play, Jenny. Enjoy the weekend. And one last message. I don't know if this is good news or bad news. My good news is myself and my hubby are going away for the weekend to Navan. Well, maybe for you it's good news. I know some people in Navan would love to go away for a weekend away from Navan. Anyway, enjoy your weekend in Navan. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. It's Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today.
98 FM's Dublin Talks.
Now, next on the programme, a specialist in public health medicine for the HSE has urged parents to review their children's vaccinations and make sure they have had the meningitis inoculations. Dr. Suzanne Cotter said there has been an increase in meningitis cases over the last couple of weeks, 3 deaths since Christmas. She also said that there's been a fall-off in the uptake of these vaccines in recent years. Now, there's been much talk about this over the last couple of days, about the importance of getting the meningitis vaccine. So I want to find out a little bit more about the importance of it and about people who, for various reasons, just point-blank refuse to get this vaccine. Dr. Cotter joins me on the line. Dr. Cotter, welcome to 98 FM.
Okay. Well, particularly, I suppose, we're concerned about the time since Christmas, the 2 weeks around Christmas, when we saw 11 cases notified over that short period of time. And unfortunately, there were also 3 deaths at that time. In general, over 2018, we saw 89 cases. So that was a slight increase from the previous year, but not so unusual, because the previous year we had 76 cases, so we had 89 then in 2018. So I suppose our key concern was that, in the winter months, we do generally get an increase in meningococcal disease. But this was, I suppose, a bit unusual in that the numbers was higher than we would expect over a short period of time.
Okay, so since Christmas, out of 11 cases, three have ended in fatality. Do we know what ages these people were?
There were ages from, children up until the older age group. So it was a wide range. So no particular age group has been targeted. These are sporadic cases. They are around the country. This isn't an outbreak. It is a higher incidence generally, but it's around the country to different age groups, different areas, and different strains of the bug are causing the meningitis.
Okay, why has there been what appears to be a fall-off of parents vaccinating against meningitis in recent years?
We, at a national level, we can't really say because all we have is the data. We're not in day-to-day contact with the parents of these children. Generally speaking, when there are fall-offs in vaccinations, they can be for a combination of reasons. Either they can be because people forget to get the vaccines. It may be because there was a change in the schedule a number of years ago, and people who would previously have vaccinated their older children may not have realised, in fact, that for their younger children it was a different schedule and more visits were required. So 5 visits are now required for children, whereas for the young children, whereas previously, say 10 years ago, only 4 visits were required. So that may be one reason. Another reason sometimes may be that parents have concerns about vaccines, or they may hear, on social media or in the media generally, about concerns about other vaccines.
Well, let me talk about those concerns for just a second, because we got a message earlier on today and it says, I just want to read it to you. My son had meningitis and still I'll never vaccinate. After 9 years reading and research, I think I've every right. My unvaccinated child is healthier than most. When all kids are catching virus and flu, she's laughing and having fun. That is obviously somebody who is genuinely concerned about the vaccination. Is there any reason to be concerned?
The vaccines have been with us. We've been using them since the 1930s, and they have been one of the most effective medical interventions to prevent unnecessary disease. If we look across the board, from diphtheria to whooping cough to polio to smallpox, which we never see anymore, tuberculosis, measles, mumps, rubella, and now the meningitis vaccines. And they are safe, they are effective. However, with any medical intervention or medicine, there's always a small possibility of a side effect in an individual. Even with an aspirin or paracetamol, with Calpol, with anything, a very, very, very small minority may have a reaction to that. But yet, we have to look at, on balance, the benefit of vaccines far, far, far outweighs the really, really small risk that any individual may have, as a result of vaccination.
Now, there's been a bit of controversy over the last day or two about the cost of the meningitis vaccine and how some children can get it for free if they're, I understand, under the age of 3, but children over the age of 3 have to pay for it. That's a bit of a turn-off for parents to get their children vaccinated, isn't it?
Well, what we're saying is that there is a national immunisation programme that is fully funded by the HSE, by the government. And through the years, the programme has been developed and targeted for those individuals that are at highest risk for disease, and the vaccine is provided for those groups. And so as the vaccines have come online, vaccines have been made available, and then those at highest risk have been given access, either to both free vaccine and or to the administration. For the meningococcal B vaccine that was only introduced into the country at a national level in 2016, the group that were targeted at that time were the infants.
Okay, but as we're talking and highlighting the whole case of meningitis and increased cases and so on, parents of children over the age of 3 can have to pay up to €350 for the vaccination.
If a vaccine is not in the national immunisation programme, it's not available to the HSE. And for those parents who decide, or for any individual, if I was a 90-year-old and I wanted to have the Men B vaccine, I wouldn't be able to get it free of charge. And similarly for any other age group that's not in the, unfortunately, that's not in the cohort that was targeted as part of the national programme, it isn't available through the HSE.
Okay, so who should have this vaccine? If you have a child over the age of 3 who hasn't been vaccinated against meningitis B, should you do that for your child?
What we are recommending is that children and adults should be vaccinated according to the National Immunisation Advisory Committee guidelines and the HSE vaccination schedule. So, what we have seen over this past couple of weeks is it's not just one meningococcal strain. It's been a number of strains. We've had Bs, we've had Cs, we've had Ws, and we've had Ys. So the most important thing really is for children and teenagers or young adults or individuals who have risk conditions that are identified as benefiting from vaccination, that they are the ones that should have the vaccines as recommended by the HSE. And for the other individuals who are not actually considered to be at highest risk of disease, however, just because we live in this community and population and meningococcal disease is out there, we all need to be aware of the signs and symptoms and seek early medical, advice and intervention.
Okay, so finally, for somebody who wants to get the vaccine either for their children or for themselves, who do they talk to? Their GP?
So what they need to do is they need to look at their immunisation records. Are they up to date according to the birth of the child or the individual? And if they missed a vaccine that they should have got, and their child, will, if they should have got it, then their child is still able to avail of that vaccine from their GP. If they weren't in that age cohort that was targeted for a particular vaccine, or if they're not in a risk group, and if they choose to want a vaccine, then they should speak with their GP, because it would be out of programme and it would be then not funded by the HSE.
Okay, finally, Dr. Cotter, what are the principal signs of the development of meningitis?
Okay, so what we have is meningococcal disease can cause both meningitis and or septicemia. So the typical signs of meningitis are the fever, severe headache, the light hurts their eyes, they may start vomiting, and as it progresses then they may become drowsy. And then the rash, which is typical of the meningococcal disease, is a pinprick rash that's on the skin, but it can be quite fleeting and it's not always obvious, and you don't really wait until you have the rash if you're concerned about your child or your teenager or yourself. And the thing with this pinprick rash is that if you roll a clear glass over it on the skin, it doesn't disappear. And then you have what's a more florid rash is kind of a bruise-like rash that's very alarming, in fact. And if that were to appear, I mean, that's you immediately, you actually would immediately seek urgent medical attention.
Okay, but the key point here is that time is of the essence, and that this can be a killer, as we've just heard from 3 people having died this year out of 11 cases. Time is of the essence.
Time is of the essence. And there are, and we are in the middle of flu season, So the thing is, flu is not meningitis, but it does cause a fever. So the thing when people are sick is just to, keep an eye on them, keep an eye on yourself. If people are deteriorating, with flu you get fever, you get aches and pains. With meningitis and septicemia you can also get flu, you can get, fever, aches and pains. But I suppose it's the severity of the illness that is quite marked with the meningitis septicemia. And another thing that people may have sometimes is vomiting and diarrhea. And again, it's not the typical, vomiting and diarrhea, but they're actually very sick with this vomiting and diarrhea. And also kind of being hot, having a fever, and yet your hands and your feet are really cold is a sign that, something's not right. And so, I think both individuals, families, parents, when they're concerned, usually they know that something's not right, and they should kind of follow their gut instinct, contact their GP or contact their out of hours.
All right, Dr. Suzanne Cotter, thank you very much indeed for talking to us on 98 FM.
Thank you.
And we'd like to hear from you on 6797981. You can text or WhatsApp us on 0877 98 98 98. After the break, I'm going to be talking to one mother whose child had meningitis. Don't go away.
98 FM's Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. Huge January sale now on in all departments.
98 FM.
This is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. It's Friday's Dublin Talks. Are you somebody who feels like this? I mentioned this message to Dr. Cotter a couple of minutes ago, and it's a message that came into us on Facebook over the last 24 hours, and it said, "My son had meningitis, and still I'll never vaccinate. After 9 years reading and research, I think I've every right. My unvaccinated child is healthier than most. When all kids are catching viruses and flu, she's laughing and having fun. What a sheep-like society we live in." And then another message that just came in from Dara says, "The road to mass medication is now open, all in the interests of pharmaceutical companies." I would have thought the vaccinations are actually in the interests of children and society. And when I hear that 3 people have died, we don't know the ages of the people who have died, but 3 people have died from meningitis B since the beginning of this year, 11 cases in all, 3 of whom have died. That will tell you how serious meningitis B can be. Amy, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Amy.
Hey, Adrian.
Amy, tell me about what happened to your daughter.
Back in March 2010, my little girl, she's 5 and she's Down syndrome, and she woke up on Friday morning, which I thought she had a bug. She was getting sick. She just wanted to constantly sleep. So as the day went on, she couldn't wake her up, and my dad panicked, and I was like, stop, she'll be grand, it's only a bug, it's probably a 24-hour thing. So she got worse as the day went on, so we rang for an ambulance. We couldn't get an ambulance, so a fire brigade came in. So fire brigade came in, gave her oxygen, and she was full of life, full of beans. So the ambulance took, I think about an hour and a half it was, got her into the ambulance, pulled up outside Temple Street, and I had her sitting on my lap looking at me, but her neck was stuck to the left side, and when she was looking at me, it was like she was looking into space. She was dazed. And I kept saying, Kelsey, come on, talk to Mommy. No response. And I turned around and I said to the ambulance man, I said, what's that little mark on her earlobe? It was like the size of a 5-cent coin. It just went purple. And he goes, it must be a heat rash from the temperature. So we walked into A&E, and the triage nurse says to me, when did that appear? I said, it's only after coming up. She was took off me, rushed straight into resuscitation. And with that, the room was full of doctors, full of nurses. She was lying there, and there's no way to explain the cry. It's very hard to explain. It sounds like a wolf howling, but it's actually the child crying.
Wow.
In pain. So she passed away in resuscitation. They got her back. Brought her straight up to the ICU. She passed away again in the lift on the way up. Got her back again, thank God. Got her into the ICU. I didn't see her then for 2 hours. She was hooked up onto monitors for her brain, her heart, everything. So, I say that 2 hours later, a professor came out and explained to us that Kelsey had meningococcal septicemia. She had the 2 of them together. And the next 48 hours were critical. Like, we didn't know if she was going to make it. So I got into her, and it was very hard because I was the only one allowed in. Like, I couldn't bring my mother or father in. I had to do it all on my own, and it was actually so scary. So our kidneys failed, all our organs were going into failure. And she got her blessing off the priest. The priest came in on this Saturday. From her knees down, she was black, and she was booked in to have her legs amputated. But as the days went on, the colour started coming back in. But I actually told her and said, if she doesn't like wearing shoes, she can amputate her legs, go ahead. And they're like, they kind of laughed, like, because she didn't like shoes. So I was trying to think positive. The priest came in, gave her a blessing. And I was nearly just booking her funeral and, like, saying goodbye to me 5-year-old little girl. It's a heartbreaking. Like, I've never told this story. Like, only my family know about it. They're all actually inside listening. It's heartbreaking. I'd recommend people to get the vaccination because I'd never ever want to see anybody come through it.
I'm. Wow, that's heartbreaking to hear that you had to go through that. And
she's kidney failure, everything. She was on so many dialysis. She had so many operations. Still to this day, 9 years later, she still needs another operation for her feet because the septicemia, the blood poison, is at the crushing the bones in her feet, and she has one very bad deformed foot. And I can't even get a pair of shoes or runners to fit her. We have to get them medically made.
Okay, so she did make a recovery, but a recovery with quite severe side effects.
Yeah. She was in a coma for 3 weeks. And she was in hospital altogether for 9 weeks.
And you're urging parents with children to get the vaccine?
Yeah, because they're putting up, like, you look out for the fever, you look out for the vomiting, but you have to also look out for when the child is in the days and they're in space, and that cry. You can't explain that cry. When you hear it, a mother should know, right, there's something wrong, I need to get my child seen straight away.
Amy, stay there for 1 second, because I want to just play a voice message that's just come in to us. Have a listen to this.
Yeah.
Come on, Adrian. We all know that pharmaceutical companies are only in it for profit. They're not there to fix any problems. If they were, the problems would have been fixed many of years ago.
He's basically suggesting that this is all a money racket from the pharmaceutical companies. What do you say to that, Amy? In
a way, I do think it is a money racket, but for the sake of your child and your own health, I would personally get it.
All right, we've had a lot of questions from a lot of listeners about who should be vaccinated for meningitis B. It became part of the national vaccination programme back in 2016. So any child born from October 16, it's included in their vaccinations. Any child born before that, it wasn't, but you can still have them vaccinated. Claire Wright from Meningitis Ireland joins me on the line. Claire, welcome to 98 FM.
Hi, Adrian.
Claire, who should get this vaccine?
So it's important for those who are recommended to get the vaccine that they get it. So that, as you explained, is all children who are born on or after October 2016. They are all eligible to get that vaccine, and all babies now are given the vaccine at 2, 4 and 12 months of age. The reason that it's given to babies is because babies are the most at risk for meningitis. Babies at around about 5 months, that's the kind of the peak age of when they're vulnerable. But children under 5 are sort of, in general, at higher risk of getting meningitis than the rest of the population. So it's not just MenB that people need to be aware of. There is also a meningococcal C vaccine, so there's lots of different serogroups that can cause this meningococcal disease that was described by your listener. And meningococcal C vaccine is given at 6 months, and there's a booster at around about 13 months of age, and again, teenagers at around about 14 years are given the MenC vaccine. And the reason that teenagers are targeted with the vaccine is because they are the ones who carry this bacteria a lot in the back of the nose and throat, and when they get vaccinated, it stops them from carrying, and so it protects the wider population as well. So it's just really important for anyone who is eligible to get the vaccine to get that vaccine.
Okay, so for parents who are listening to us now who have children who were born before October 2016, who haven't routinely been given this the meningitis B vaccine, should they get their child vaccinated?
So, I mean, that's down to a parent's individual choice. There's certainly no national recommendation that they should get their children vaccinated. Meningitis, as children get older, becomes less of a risk, but some parents are more risk averse than others and would want to do anything they can possibly do to protect their child. But there's certainly no recommendation for those parents to go and get.
Okay, so it's down to parental choice. But for somebody who has a child over 3, they can get the vaccine should they choose to, can they?
Yes, it's possible for those people to get the vaccine if they chose to, and they would be able to get that privately.
Okay, at a cost?
Yes, exactly. There would be a cost to that.
Which isn't covered by the medical card as well, I understand.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be covered. It would have to be purely paying for the vaccine privately. And, as I've said, the highest risk age group are babies. And so once you get beyond that age group and beyond those who are eligible to get it free from their health service, the risk is less, and so therefore it comes down to parental choice about whether they want to spend the money on protecting their child from that particular strain of meningococcal disease. There are other disease-causing strains, so if you protect yourself against meningococcal B, it doesn't mean you've protected yourself against every type of meningitis. It's important for parents to know that as well.
Okay, stay there for 1 second, Claire. Sorry, Paddy, you had a quick question to ask. Go on, Paddy.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, is the vaccination free for kids born before 2016?
Yes, it's part of the immunisation programme. Is that right, Claire?
I don't think it is. I heard yesterday that it comes up to €350 per child, and the VA.
That's right. Sorry, Claire, can I just confirm that children born after October 2016, this vaccine is free, is that correct?
Yeah, children born on or after the 1st of October 2016 are eligible for the vaccine at 2, 4 and 12 months of age. But if they were born before that date...
No, we've already said, Paddy, kids born before that aren't included because it was only introduced in October 2016, and if you want to get that child immunised, you will have to pay, yes.
Yeah, but it's €350 per child.
It can be up to, yes.
£700.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay, so Claire, there is the most at-risk children of meningitis B in particular are babies and very young kids, and they have already been included in this vaccination programme. Children over the age of 3 that fall outside the date of when it was originally introduced can have it if their parents choose to, but it's not totally necessary.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the risk of getting meningococcal disease in general decreases as children get older. So, yes, under ones are the most vulnerable, and as they get older, the risk decreases, and that's why it's recommended for babies, but not necessarily for older age groups.
All right. Thank you very much indeed for all of that information. Claire Wright is from Meningitis Ireland. Thank you for talking to us on 98 FM. We just got a tweet sent to us. We're tagged in it, and so is the Minister for Health, Simon Harris, and it says, as a parent, the current meningitis scare worries me sick. I'm in tears listening to Dublin Talks on 98 FM. Minister Simon Harris, please roll out this vaccine so all of our children can be vaccinated instead of those who can afford it. So I don't think we can make it any clearer. Over the age of 3, if your child was born since October 2016, it is down to your personal choice. The older they get, the less at risk they are of meningitis B, and children born since October 2016 are included in the vaccination programme. If you choose to have your child vaccinated, it is going to cost you, whether you have a medical card or not, and can cost up to €350. Shane, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Shane?
Not too bad, how are you?
Good, thank you, Shane. What did you want to say?
I just think it's madness that, one, people have to pay for it. Secondly, my kids won't be getting it done at all. I don't believe in giving a child a sickness to try fight a sickness if they don't have it in the first place.
Okay, so you obviously want to see the state rolling out this for anybody who wants to avail of it.
Well, why if they want to give people a vaccination for something that could kill them, they're charging them for it? Should it not be free?
Because the point was made that the older a child gets, the less at risk they are of meningitis B.
It doesn't make a difference. That's like saying the older you get, the less chance you're going to get cancer at a young age, or less chance of this, less chance of that. That's guesswork. I'd love to know, where's the stats on the 6 people who have died from this? How many of them?
Well, only 3. Sorry, 3 people have died. 3. Yeah, they haven't released any statistics on it yet. We don't even know the ages of the 3 who have died.
Yeah, they're scaremongering people into this. They're scaremongering the people rushing out and spending €350 on a jab that a child might never need. As I said to you, we never got any jabs when we were young. My mum and dad refused point blank, and me and my two brothers have never been I've never been in hospital for a sickness around like that. Nor has my brother John around like that. But you're saying they're scaremongering people into spending this mad money on a disease they're not even sure if this jab works. The jab actually gives them the disease to try to fight it at a young age. Why would you do that to your child?
Because they are the age group that are most at risk. And
no, but why
sorry, Shane, I can't emphasise enough how dangerous condition this is. 3 out of 11 cases, 3 people have died. That's a very high mortality rate.
Where is this after coming out of?
This was released this week because there's a higher than normal level of meningitis B being detected.
Well, then why didn't they release? If they're able to release the figures of 3 people died out of 11, surely they can say out straight, maybe one of these people out of 3 who have died have got the jab.
No, and they haven't released that information yet, and I would like to hope that they will over the next couple of days, because I'm very conscious as well, Shane, that these 3 deaths since Christmas, we're only talking in the last 2 weeks, so it's very, very raw for those particular families.
And my heart, listen to me, my heart goes out to anyone who has died from, or anyone who has died recently as well, from any sort of disease or anything like that. But what my point is, the government are scaremongering people. If they're going to release stats saying, 3 people out of 11, you need to go out and get this jab, you need to spend €350, by law they should be saying.
But they haven't really said that either. What they have said is, it's up to you, it's your choice, you can have it if you want to.
It's scaremongering people. That's what they're doing. So why can't they release the stats of many of the 3 people who have died from it had either the flu jab before Christmas or have got this jab done beforehand?
No, that's a fair point, and I think they should really release that information sooner rather than later as to whether or not the particular people who died or who contracted it had the meningitis B vaccine at all.
Surely they'd know straight away. Wouldn't they know from... They'd know from their records.
I would imagine they do. I just don't know. I can't explain why they haven't released that information. Let me just bring in one last call, and that's you, Olivia. You're on 98 FM. Olivia, what do you want to say?
Adrian.
You have a baby who is vaccinated against this.
Yeah, I have a 14-month-old. No, I didn't even realise the injections had changed, because I have 2 guys, 5 and 6, and it was only when I brought her for her injections they explained that there was all new injections in it, and funny, I did notice a difference in, the way they say when the kids get their injections, watch out for temperature, the first 24 hours and whatever. My 2 guys, when they got their injections, were fine. But I found her reaction to the injections where she got a really high temperature that night, to the point where I was a bit worried, and that was my 3rd child. She was really sick for the whole evening and the next day. I was actually considering taking her into hospital just because I wasn't sure what was happening. But I know there is, I only came aware of this last night, and there is a petition on Facebook. Now, on the one I looked at last night, I signed it. It's basically to have the injection rolled out. But on that one now, it says that the injection's only 150 per child.
Well, I have heard of some places charging up to 350, but I also have heard of it being under €200. But again, the point that has been made is that this is down to parental choice, essentially. That once a child is over the age of 3, and the older they get, the less at risk they are of meningitis B. That's the point. Yeah. And that's why young children, infants, are being immunised against it. All right, well, look, we appreciate your call, and thank you, all of you, for your calls. Interesting conversation. Some people do believe it is scaremongering, and Meningitis Ireland is the organisation if you want to find out more information about the importance or otherwise of getting that particular vaccine. But as I said, if your child was born since October 2016 and you went through with all of their vaccinations, it is most likely, in fact it is highly likely, that your child is already vaccinated against meningitis B. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks.
98 FM's Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. Huge January sale now on in all departments.
98 FM.
It's Friday, and every Friday at around about this time we bring you our Say What You See quiz. I'm here and Jeremy's there, and if you want to take part, it's first come, first served on 6797981. Patter, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Patter?
Morning, guys. Morning.
Morning, Patter. Welcome to Dublin Talks.
Thanks.
Who would you like to play our Say What You See quiz with, Adrian or Jeremy?
Yourself, Adrian, please.
Okay, you know how it works, Patter. You've a minute on the clock to try and get as many of these flashcards correct. And your 1 minute starts now.
Here's your first one, Adrian. An easy one to kick it off.
This is an expression that Dublin people use for I'm really, really, really thirsty.
I'm parched.
That'll do me. I'm parched is the right answer. Here comes your next one. This is an expression that you might use when you need to nip to the loo.
I'm going for Jimmy Riddle.
Oh, no, okay, it's not.
Don't do it live on the radio, wait.
What's the opposite of father?
Mother.
Yeah, mother something is calling.
Who says that?
Mother Nature's calling.
Ah, that's the right answer. Mother Nature is calling. Very good. Here comes your next one. This is something that would appear in a poster in the Wild West. And they've a photograph.
Wanted Dead or Alive.
That's exactly the right answer. Wanted Dead or Alive is the right answer. Here comes your next one. This is an expression you might use if you're having an affair. She's your...
Bit on the side.
Bit on the side is the correct answer. Very good. You're flying along. This is a kind of a Dublin expression for a real... he's a real character. He's a real bowsy. He's a bowsy.
Bit of a chancer.
The first part of this is a man's name. Not John. It begins with J.
Jack the Lad.
Jack the Lad is the right answer.
Well done.
Well done, Patter. That was a score of 5. You're in the lead. Well, obviously you are. You're the first caller. Stay listening. You'll know in a couple of minutes if you won.
Great, thank you.
Did you use the word bowsy on the radio?
I did, yeah.
I haven't heard that word in donkeys. Well, I haven't heard the word donkeys in donkeys either. Do you call people bowsies?
No, it's just the word that came to my mind.
Are you the type of person, if you're walking by a bus shelter and the bus shelter is broken, you will turn around and you'll say, that was a group of bowsies
No,
that
not
did
really.
that?
It's just the only word that came to mind. Teresa, you're on 98 FM. Hi, Teresa.
Hi, Adrian.
Welcome.
Jeremy. Happy New
to
Year.
Dublin Happy New Year.
Are we still doing that in February? Yeah.
Well, it's not February. It's still January. But if it's your first time talking to somebody, I think you can say Happy New Year until kind of the middle of January. I think.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. All right, Teresa, who do you want to play with, Adrian or Jeremy?
Jeremy, please.
Okay. You're trying to beat a score of 5, which is Patter's score. You've a minute to do it, and your 1 minute starts now.
Oh, this is a song from the 70s. You're willing to sacrifice. You're not as hot as fire. You're as
cold as ice.
You are as cold as ice. That's the right answer. Here's your next one.
Oh, song from the 80s. Hang on. I heard it on the radio back in 62. Or something like that, isn't it?
My God.
I heard you on the radio. What's the words?
I heard you on the wireless back in 62.
Okay, hang on. I heard you on the wireless back in 62.
I know it, I can hear it, but I can't think of the name.
Okay, I have another bit of it. Oh. You weren't the first one. Oh. You weren't the last one. Come on.
Video Kill the Radio
Yes,
Star.
That is the right answer.
He did.
Well done. Here comes your next one.
This is something you'd write on a Valentine's card to your wife.
Or your girlfriend. Or your boyfriend.
Or your anything, yeah.
To my loved one. Happy Valentine's Day.
No, it's a rhyme about flowers.
Roses are red, violets are blue.
Violets are
That's
blue.
the right answer. Here comes your next one.
This is something that that was the quickest minute ever.
There's no point in doing it because she'll only have 4. 5 is what we're trying to do.
I'm sorry, Teresa.
Not at all.
It wasn't really my fault. It was your fault that you never heard of Radio Kill the Radio Star.
I had to sing in my head.
By the way, that song.
Guys,
sorry, Teresa. That song that's about 30 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
The fella who sang that song was claiming that in 30 years' time there'll be no such thing as radio stations or DJs. We're still here, by the way.
Yeah. Well done, Mr. Buggles.
Yeah,
well
you didn't kill us, Buggles.
Okay, nice to hear
Thanks,
you guys.
Teresa. Bye. Owen is next. You're on 98 FM. Owen, how are you?
Not too bad. How are you?
Now, who would you like to play our Say What You See quiz with, Adrian or Jeremy?
Yourself.
Okay, myself, Adrian. Okay.
You know what we'll do? We'll give you 1 point if you can do a good impression of that song, Video Kill the Radio Star.
Oh.
Let's hear it again.
Oh.
No. What?
I'm giving him a point.
All he said was
That's good enough for me. Are you ready, Owen? You've got a point already. You're off the mark. You've a minute on the clock and your minute starts now. This is something that William Wallace said.
Freedom.
They can take our...
Freedom.
Let me see it again.
Yeah.
They can take our what?
Oh, no, he didn't say that. Well, he did.
But they may take our... What? Freedom will do. You got the right answer. That'll do. Okay, here's your next one. This is something that is big and ugly and over the top. It's an absolute... And it begins with the letter M.
Monstrosity.
That's the right answer. Good man, Owen. Here's your next one. This is what you might say if you were having a Guinness. It's a pint of what?
Stout.
No. It's not
the black stuff.
A pint of the black stuff is the correct answer. Here comes your next one. This is an expression for somebody who's just boring. They're not wet, they are...
Dry.
Yeah, dry what?
Shite.
A dry shite is the right answer. Here's your next one. It's not Rose's chocolates, it's the other ones you have at Christmas time.
Celebrations.
No, it's not Coronation blank. It's
Quality Street.
Quality Street is the correct answer. Well done.
It's not Coronation. What are you talking about?
Coronation Street. It's Quality Street. He got it as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, and you're in the lead with a score of 6.
Good stuff.
Good stuff indeed. Thanks for your call. Gareth is next. Gareth, welcome to 98 FM.
How are you, lads?
Hey, Gareth.
Gareth, who would you like to play our Say What You See quiz with, Adrian or Jeremy?
Jeremy, please.
Jeremy it is. You're trying to beat a score of 6, which is what Owen just got. You have a minute to try and do it, and your 1 minute starts now.
Okay, this is something you slap a person on the bum when you're saying this. It's a rhyme. Make me a cake.
Patty cake, is it?
No,
Patty cake, yes. Patty cake.
Patty cake.
Oh, here's another song from the 80s. Goodbye, Norma Jean. That's it. Goodbye.
Candle in the wind.
Candle in, you got it.
It wasn't the same people who sang Video Killed the Radio Star, son.
Who sang that song, Adrian?
Not telling you.
AC/DC, was it?
No.
Something about if you lie down and you get your partner to open a bottle of Shukra.
Where are you going with this?
I'm just saying. Supposing I go home later and I ask my wife, I lie in the bed naked and I get my wife to bring in a bowl of Shukra and I say to her, honey, get that Shukra.
Put your sugar on me.
Pull your sugar?
Put your sugar on me.
No, it's not put your sugar on. By the way, can I just say we've never done this?
That's fine. I was getting concerned.
It's not put your sugar on me, it's...
Put your sugar on me.
Put your sugar on me.
No, I don't think Def Leppard said, pour some sugar on me.
Yes, pour some sugar on me.
Is the right answer, but it's way out of time, Gareth.
All right, now.
You were brutal. Good luck.
Where are they going with that song?
Pour some sugar on me.
What was
I don't know. Maybe he loves candy floss or something. I've no idea. Marie, you're on 98 FM. How are you?
Hiya.
Good. Welcome to Dublin Talks. Who would you like to play with, Adrian or Jeremy?
Adrian.
Adrian it is. Okay, we're trying to beat a score of 6, all right?
Okay.
We can do this. You've a minute to try and do it. And your minute starts now, Marie.
Now, your first one, Adrian.
Okay, here we go. Oh, this is a game. It's a board game. It's a silly game. Not Middly Minx.
Tiddlywinks.
Tiddlywinks is the correct answer.
I don't know about giving you that one.
Go on.
Okay.
Move on. How do I... If I was to ask you...
don't ask her that.
But I know, that's the point.
It's another expression for getting the leg over.
Oh, yeah, a bit of what? For getting your leg over, it's an expression not to do with your mother, it's to do with your...
How's your father?
A bit of how's your father. That's the right answer. Here comes your next one. This is something that Irish mammies do to their sons. They spoil them, yeah. But
coddle them.
What? Say that again.
Coddle them.
Yeah, nearly. What's the word before it?
Mollycoddle.
Mollycoddle is the correct answer. Here comes your next one. This is a game that you play with your hands and you make different shapes and you try and beat each other.
What? What?
Like, depending on the shape you make means it's stronger than the other thing.
Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors.
Is the right answer, but Marie, you're out of time, I'm afraid. You got a score of 4. Not enough. We were trying to beat a score of 6. We've one final contestant, and that is Barry. Barry, welcome to 98 FM.
How you doing?
Hey,
Barry, who do you want to play with, Adrian or Jeremy?
Jeremy,
okay.
True story, by the way, lads, very quickly. I was in a pub the other day and there was a pair of adults, 2 adults in their 40s playing rock, paper, scissors in the pub together.
Really?
Yeah. Honestly.
It's a great game. All right, Barry, you ready? Here we go.
This is a man's work is always done, but a
woman's work was never
done.
That's the right answer. Here comes your next one.
Okay, this is I asked my mate Jason to organise a night out, and he completely screwed it up, and he couldn't. He's terrible at
Jason.
Jason is terrible. It doesn't matter what his name is. Jason is terrible at organising things. He couldn't.
Screw up.
He couldn't what? He couldn't even do it in Guinness's.
He couldn't organise a kiss up in the bird.
That's the right answer. Close enough. Here's your next one.
He's your man. I thought Buddy that.
What?
He's your man that you can't pronounce his R's. It's the putty tat. Is that what he says?
I thought a putty cat.
Oh, Tweety Bird.
Tweety Pie, that'll do. Okay, here's your next one, and this is accurate.
Yeah. This is you, Barry, at the moment.
What?
This is you at the moment. You're
gobshite.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well done. Well, you give that man a point.
That wasn't the right one.
Another gobshite.
Good luck, Barry. You only got 4. The winner of our quiz this week got a score of 6, and that was Owen. Congratulations, Owen. That's it from us for today. Thank you for joining us. Have a great weekend. We're back Monday morning, 10 a.m. Barry Dunn is next with some great music in the next hour, like these.
That's just the way it is.
98 FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. Huge January sale now on in all departments. 98 FM.